If you're the type to roll your eyes at any sort of positivity related to this franchise, especially around spring training time, this is not the episode for you. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning from Bradenton, Florida. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or hockey. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins where you found this, but I spent my day at Pirate City. First full squad workouts were yesterday, stretched out over, I'm trying to think if they covered all. They used 5 fields. The only one they didn't use was the infield only Mazeroski field, which by the way is just a tremendous name for an infield only field. And there wasn't a thing that I saw or heard that I didn't like. When it came to the Brian Reynolds situation, to get that one out of the way, loved everything I heard from him and a good talk that he and I had. Loved everything that I heard from the upper management guys in talking to Bob Nutting and Travis Williams. Loved seeing Nutting go right over to Reynolds' cage when he was taking batting practice and shake his hand and talk to him briefly. Both guys looking like, it was pretty amiable. I was 25 or 30 feet away. Not that I would be leaning in anyway. That'd be really weird. Seemed like it went well. I strongly suspect they weren't there to negotiate a contract. I loved seeing Andrew McCutchen in black and gold and having the opportunity to swap stories with him about his earliest days at that facility, some of which, I'm going to date myself here, but I covered those and remembered some stuff that he'd forgotten and vice versa. But just to watch him out there wearing the correct uniform and smiling that big smile and watching the younger guys, the minor leaguers, they'd see him coming and they would just kind of back off. Like there are these gates that you have to pass through to move from field to field. And they would see Kutch coming and they would move like, Moses was parting the Red Sea. Seeing a couple of those minor leaguers later on in the day inside Pirate City HQ, playing video games underneath these posters and pictures of Kutch that have been in there all along. They didn't just come back this year. Cover of Sports Illustrated from 2013, that type of stuff. All of the Kutch stuff was really good. I asked him actually coming off the field how his emotions were.
Emotions are in check. I haven't really had much time to ponder on the situation that I'm in right now. But it feels good to be back. It feels good, have the same colors on that I know so well, be back in the same area that I know so well. And overall it's a good feeling, but maybe when I have a little more time to think about it.
Most Kutch answer ever. I'm telling you, it's like if you think you're asking him a question about something and you think you're going to get a non-emotional response, he's going to give it to you real and tell you what he actually felt. In this case, he's down to playing baseball. And he likes this team. That was something else that we'd spoken about earlier. He likes the team at the big league level. And like a lot of the individuals who were kind enough to share the time and share their thoughts, the focus was pretty heavily on the months of June and July, and not necessarily the way you think. It's not about the schedule. It's not about being in contention or anything like that. It has to do with the timeline, the projected timeline for a lot of the kids that'll come up from Indianapolis, presumably, obviously. It has to do with Quinn Priester and or Mike Burrows making it up from Indy and being added to a rotation that's already going to have Mitch Keller, Roansy Contreras, Rich Hill, Vince Velasquez, JT Brubaker, possibly Johan Oviedo. And then there's Luis Ortiz in that mix too. Look at the names I just mentioned. Not all of them are all-stars or whatever. I'm not being dumb here. But look at the volume of names that I just mentioned there. And Kutch happened to agree with this when we were talking. That's the area where the team can really make the biggest swing. We talked about the bullpen, talked about a healthy, feeling good David Bednar. Looks a little lighter, too, I should add. Talked about Colin Holderman. Everybody talked about Colin Holderman. I have a feeling that by the time the season starts, you're going to be a little bit sick of hearing about Colin Holderman. He has the filthiest, the bleepiest stuff in the pen. According to Keller and according to Justin Message, his bullpen coach, they were just raving about him. And then you get into the other kids. You get into Andy Rodriguez making it up. You get into Henry Davis, who, by the way, has a personality you're going to love almost as much as his 1-1 talent. Big, booming personality, not afraid to speak his mind, not afraid to be the kind of guy that unifies a team. Just remember where you heard that. That's going to be a factor before long with this franchise. You add all that up, ideally the Reynolds thing gets put together, and yeah, I mean they're excited for a reason. Again, they're not making any grand predictions, certainly not about 2023 or whatever. But heck, I just made it through this whole segment and didn't even mention O'Neal Cruz. He's going to have his first full season. That's kind of a big deal. Fun day down here. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern, that's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's J1Q comes from Ronald, who in lieu of a question just sends me this. DK, there's something about being around the old ball yard that is chicken soup for the soul. Even as a Pirates fan, it's still a magical place to be. Enjoy. Ronald, as much as I can't wait to leave Florida, and by that, I mean I can't wait to leave Florida the moment the plane lands, I really, really, really enjoy the baseball setting. I feel like I was born and raised into baseball more than any of the other sports that I cover. I feel like I was born and raised into the Pirates, really, as a very, very young child, and it was easy to support that team. They could hit like crazy. They had these living legends, and, they did win, in my lifetime, a World Series in 1979. I mean, they won it in 71, too, but I was 5 years old and didn't even know English then. But coming here and knowing the lay of this particular land at Pirate City, especially at Pirate City before things move across to a much more formal and, how do I say this, corporate-y environment in what's now called Lecom Park. It was something that Neil Huntington did. To his credit, he actually did a beautiful job of it, fixing up the clubhouse that's at Lecom. What was there before was not suitable for the major leagues, and the Pirates did well to replace it. But it's, you know how that goes. It's not the same. It's not the same. There's a bunch of different rooms and grandiose meeting spaces, and everything's so pristine and clean and perfect. And from a selfish perspective, we don't have anywhere near the same access to the players. Still good access, just not the same. But at Pirate City, everything is just available to you. We're actually walking out on the field. We're right there with, the manager, the coaches. I watched a set of BP, just me, Derek Shelton, and Don Kelly. I mentioned my conversations with the owner, with the team president, with the general manager. It's just outstanding. It's a tremendous way after I spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks with the hockey team, including accompanying the Penguins out to California. I missed the first few days here. You just come and you just immerse yourself and get so much into it. I know this isn't what you're talking about. Okay. I know this isn't. You're looking for some kind of wafting palm trees and sunshine and whatever else here. That's not me. I wore a hoodie and long pants, and most of the time I had the hoodie up just so that I wouldn't fry. I am not at all a Florida person, not in any capacity, but most definitely not the weather. But the baseball, I will take it every day and Sunday, and then the Sunday after that, right through opening day in Cincinnati. It's really terrific to be down here for the baseball. Let's do this again tomorrow.